just by the time you get to stage, I always felt very prepared. Like I didn't have a doubt in my mind about thing that you're going to experience on stage, but it's still hard work. It's hard. Thing that puts you in the zone like ballet, nothing. Where you don't think about the stage, do nothing different. Like the way you did it in the studio, do it that way on stage. Don't do more, don't do less.
Want to dance that they don't know the ballet and they don't know the history.
The history, yeah.
So how important is that for the new?
Very
Tell them.
Yeah, it's very important because there's a difference between and the older you get, you learn that.
Hello dancer, welcome to another episode of Freedom Podcast. Today I'm happy to have in the studio, I think she's the best dancer in the world. And she's the Prima Ballerina of South Africa. Please, let's welcome Burnise Silvius. Hello Burnise, thank you.
How are you?
Good, and you?
I'm good, thanks.
Good, thank you for coming to the podcast.
It's nice to be here.
Really appreciate it. I just want to, like I was talking to you before the recording, like I wanted to do this podcast because I feel like people need to know more about you, and the new generation need to know who you are, how you became Prima Ballerina, because that's I think it's such a big impact for the new generation, that they know all your hard work into that, and I think they deserve that, to know more about you.
Yeah, how you get there.
Yeah, exactly, because they want to skip some of the stuff,
Yes.
but they don't want to sit and be, okay, ballet is a hard work. We need to go through the whole thing and the process. I think they don't want to trust the process.
Yes.
That's what I feel like they don't need to, they need to do.
Need to hear all about it.
Yeah. So I think let's start from the beginning. Like the question would be, what inspired you to pursue ballet, and what age did you realize that dance was your thing?
So for me, I think my mom just started me in ballet because she had done ballet when she was little. So at that stage, I think it was more just about posture and being confident, building confidence. And also, I was lucky because my dad was a violinist with the then packed orchestra. So I was always involved or seeing a lot of ballet. At that point, if you could, my dad he'd be in the orchestra, and then at half-hour call, they would sell tickets. Now listen to this, for R2 at half-hour call.
Really?
That's how long ago that was. So at that point, if I wanted to see a ballet, I must have been in like standard 4, 5, maybe beginning high school. Then I could go with my dad, and I would go like 3 or 4 times a week to see the ballet, to see Pact perform. So I think that made a big impression on me. But my dad always said, don't become a ballet dancer, because
Really?
he was obviously in the building where everybody was rehearsing. So he knew how hard it was. He just said he can hear how people sometimes scream and, like all of these things going down the corridor and the hours they have. So he always said, no, really don't become a ballet dancer. It's a lot of hard work. But when I sometimes think ballet chooses you, and then when that bug bites, it's almost like it's almost like you don't have a choice.
Yes.
But yeah, I would say definitely in the beginning, it wasn't really my parents' idea that I was going to be a ballet dancer. It was just like all little girls take ballet.
Dream, yeah.
So that's how it started. And for me, I don't remember like at some point deciding this is what I want to be. It was just always like that. It's just something I knew. I wanted to be a ballet dancer.
It's interesting because in Cuba, the parents go to the school and say, okay, you have to do ballet.
Okay.
There is no choice. Sometimes
Yes.
they do, the kids choose for ballet, but in my case, my dad and my mom, they say, you have to do ballet.
Okay.
Because I was playing on the street like baseball, soccer,
Yes.
and they are both dancers as well. So they needed to find something that would make me go like in the right path,
Yes, yes.
And then for me, the first 2 years was quite difficult because I didn't understand what ballet it was, and the thing is, like, it's funny because my dad, he's a contemporary dancer, so he told me how to dance contemporary and all folklore route. And I already knew how to dance, but I wasn't into ballet. I was like, ballet. I don't think that's a good idea.
Yes.
So my first 2 years was okay. It's quite difficult, but after that, I enjoy the whole thing because of them. They made me do like solist,
Yes.
and then I
Yes.
was like, okay, this is fun,
Yes.
you know. And then here I am.
Yeah, ballet, it's really hard. Like, especially now because I teach now, I see a lot of kids, like if I go, let's say I'm an adjudicator, and I adjudicate, and there's like the different sections, ballet, hip-hop, contemporary, tap. Kids do really well at everything, but when that ballet section comes, it's hard.
I know.
It's really a hard dance form.
I know.
And it takes so much discipline. And like even now, I teach at my boys' school, so I teach little 3 to 4 year olds and 4 to 5 year olds, and to get that even at that young age, to let them understand that when we're in ballet, firstly we don't talk, we have to listen. There's discipline. We start like this, we finish the exercise like this. You know, there's no running around screaming, all those things that they want to do. For that little half an hour, we have to contain everything and we have to do things the right way. I think that makes it really hard.
As a teacher, that's the most difficult things to do. Try to make everybody to pay attention.
Especially when they're that age. Like I was just saying to somebody, my little 3-year-olds, they all start turning 4 halfway through the year and that. The class at the beginning of the year compared to where they are now at least I can get them to all sit in a circle and do like 2 exercises before it goes haywire again. But in the beginning of the year, I'm like always like, oh my God, what have I done? Why am I here? It's like herding sheep.
Wow.
To get them to just sit in a circle. Even just to say, let's hold hands and stand in a circle. It is chaos.
It's impossible.
Yes.
I think for me as well as a teacher, I feel like I can teach young kids, but my passion is until a limit, you know.
That's the thing. It takes so much patience, and then
Yeah.
I look back at my teachers and I think they all must become angels one day because
100%.
they had lots of patience.
That's good. Just to move on, like from when you started, I just want to know, like, tell it about how was your journey as a student to becoming principal dancer, and what was some of the challenges that you faced during that time?
So I just started at my primary school just up the road, and then at some point that teacher felt like, she said, I think Burnise needs a little bit more. She sees talent there. So then I moved on to another teacher, Paula Ulefi, and she was sort of known as like one of the best teachers in Pretoria. She stayed far from me, like my poor mom. She drove so far, it literally took like half an hour. We had to drive from Pretoria to Centurion, so it's like a 20-minute, half an hour drive. So it wasn't like, it was easy, like it was up the road. So I think at that point my mom started realizing that I'm taking this quite serious. And she always says, like, I did music because both my parents are in music. My dad's a violinist, and my dad was a violinist, and my mom was a pianist. So I took musical instruments as well. But she said the one thing that she could see made the difference was that she had to say, Burnise, you have to practice piano. This is the hour that you have to practice piano. And she says for ballet, she never had to say that. I was
Really?
always in my room. At some point I'd asked to have a mirror put up in my room. So she said I would just be in my room practicing ballet. And she never had to say, you must go practice ballet.
Oh, wow.
It was just like a thing. I even had like a door that would swing in, and that would be my partner. I would swing the door in, and that would be my partner.
That's so creative.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that tells you that somebody, it's their passion. So then when it came to high school, there was an art school in Pretoria called Pro Arte. So I auditioned for that. got into Pro Arte, and I was there from standard 6 to matric. It was a good time, but also hard because girls go through such a hard, awkward phase with puberty and picking up weight, and so that's also hard, is to just get through that little bit in school. But I had amazing teachers. Ken Yateman was there. And also, when I started going towards matric, my private teacher, Paula, said she thinks she can only get me this far. She needs me to do a little bit more before I start my audition, because I was going to audition for PACT at that point. So she got one of the ex-principal dancers from PACT Ballet, Catherine Burnette, and I would work with her on like a Saturday or a Sunday, a lot of Sundays. And that actually carried on once I got into the company. When I started doing principal or soloist roles, I would work with Kathy on a Sunday afternoon. Yeah, she was just amazing as well. Never asked me money. Like,
Really?
I didn't pay her. It was just like her passion as well. And obviously she had seen something in me and she felt like it was worth spending the hours on. So then I auditioned for PACT Ballet. I was an aspirant dancer for a year and then got a contract in the Quarter Ballet. And it's hard because you see a lot of dancers, and it's few and far between those who become soloists and principals. You know, there's a company of 80 dancers, and at that point there were like 5 principal dancers. So I had said to myself I would give myself 5 years to become a principal or like a senior soloist.
Yeah.
And if that didn't happen, then I would move on. I just didn't think I could take the disappointment of not being a prince. That was my dream. And if it wasn't meant for me, then I needed to start doing something else. But I was lucky. Every year I got promoted. Not easy in the company. My first few years
Was difficult.
Was hard. The ballet mistress was hard on me. But I sometimes think, like now, if I talk to her, then I realize she had seen something in me and she wanted to push me. So I would say for younger dancers, don't feel like I'm being picked on and, my teacher hates me because nothing's ever right. I always think that if nobody says nothing, then,
That's the worst.
That's the worst. It's better when you're being picked on and they want you to do more and they want you to do better. Because then they see something and they want to build on it and they want to build you. So I was lucky. I was made, lucky and unlucky, because I was made a principal dancer, and my first season that I was going to be dancing as a principal dancer was going to be La Film Gade, and then the company closed down. So I literally was made a principal dancer, and within like the first few months of that next year of being a principal dancer, the company closed down. Yeah. So
how'd that make you feel?
No, it was like your feet was, like a rug was pulled from under your feet. Nobody expected it. We were literally called in, like everybody working at the theatre was called in and said that by the end of the week, the whole theatre would close down. Not just ballet, everything was going to close down. So, and that's the thing that's hard in South Africa. There isn't a lot of companies. It's not like Europe, and you think, okay, I'm going to flit over to Holland and go and audition at all the little companies, or go to London, or, it's not like that in South Africa. We are far from everything, and there's only really 2 big ballet companies in South Africa. And like we know, there's not a lot of money, so there's really no contracts. So it's not like everybody that was at PACT Ballet could just move over to Cape Town City Ballet. That was not an option. They didn't even have any contracts. So the only thing that I was lucky was I was about to guest with Hong Kong Ballet. So I'd phoned them up, and I was meant to go in like 4 weeks. And I said, my company's closed down. Can I come earlier and just work with the company? And they were very gracious and said, yes, please come. You can work with the company for longer. And that's how I didn't stay behind like most of the dancers and do like little things for a year until South African Ballet Theatre started up. I went overseas. I did my guesting contract while I was there. they had offered me a contract, and I literally I accepted the contract, came home, and I was waiting for my work permit to come through, and within 2 weeks my work permit came through and I went back.
Sure.
Yeah, so I was lucky. I was waiting when David Bentley was here from Birmingham Ballet. He really had liked me, and when all of this had happened, I had phoned him and said, because at that point I wasn't even, I think I was like I think I must have been quarter ballet, and he had asked if I could do one of the solo roles, which was a little bit unheard of. And that day there was very much a regime in the company. Like, if you are to quarter ballet, it's very far and few between that you might get a soloist role. It was
Sure.
very much like, these days it's not, I don't find companies to be that like if you're quarter ballet, you only do quarter
Yeah,
ballet.
correct, yeah.
So, but at that point it was. But anyway, so when the company had closed down, I'd phoned him and I'd said, Pact has closed down, you don't have any contracts, can I come and work with the company for a bit? But they didn't have any. So he had said to me, if something opens up, I'll give you a call and I'll let you know. But I was a bit like in two minds. Like, what am I going to do? Am I going to let this contract from Hong Kong Ballet pass me by? Or am I going to wait and see? So in hindsight, I should have waited.
Really?
Because I'd been in Hong Kong Ballet for maybe 2 months, and then David had phoned and said, I've got a contract for you. And in those days, because I was so inexperienced moving between companies, I didn't know that you could just be like, okay, well, sorry, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
I was very old school. What you start, you must finish.
Yeah, exactly.
So I said to David, I'm going to finish my contract in Hong Kong and then see what happens.
Wow.
But by the time I'd finished my contract in Hong Kong, they didn't have a contract anymore. So I think that's like one of my biggest disappointments, is that I didn't, or regrets, that I didn't just wait and end up going to Birmingham. I think I would have fitted in better at Birmingham than in HongOng. It's hard. It was hard for me. I didn't speak the language. It's a whole different culture. So that was hard for me. That year was hard.
And it's brave to do that, because to go to Hong Kong, it's just like...
Yeah, especially for somebody I'd never been anywhere. It's not like I traveled or I studied overseas or anything. But yeah, you learn that way as well. Like there, I learned that, yes, ballet makes me very happy and everything, but I wasn't happy in the company.
In the company.
So then at that point I felt like, okay, if it means that I'm not going to dance, then I won't dance. Because I wasn't happy being so far away from my family. My family means a lot to me. I need to be close to my family and my people. It was hard to go out and perform and not know one single person in the audience. Well, you must know.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It's really hard. I think it's hard in different way, because you know how Cuba with the company, and for us, I didn't get into the Ballet National of Cuba. So for me, either was going to Pro Danza,
yes,
or nothing else. And then we got luck that they came to Cuba and said, okay, let's take the school,
yes,
bring them to South Africa. We did Don Q. And then he said to Ana Julia, I need 3 boys to stay with the company, because
yes,
we're going to do the Queen, what. So Ana Julia shows me, and with Randall, Luisito, and who was the other one? Was the only the 3 of us. And then the next year, it came Nelson, Claudia,
yes,
and Ramiro. And then, but we already knew that being away from Cuba was excited, because we didn't got the opportunity to be in the company, so we tried to say, okay, let's show our skill in another country.
Yes,
so for us was quite easier, but at the same time we didn't know how to speak English. Yes. The only person that you remember those times.
I remember.
The only person that knew how to speak English was Luisito. Every time that you guys say something, say, Luisito, what you say?
Yes.
Or what that's saying, because we didn't know. So that was the only hard time for us. But at the end of the day, we love what we were doing at the company. So we managed to fit into the company. But it was hard, because at the same time, my mom was in Venezuela as well. So I didn't have my family around me. So for me, it was easier. I don't know for the others, but for me, it was easier. I still was missing Cuba. But I said, okay, Cuba, South Africa, choose, So that's why for me, it was easier. But I know what you mean, because when you dance and you don't know no one,
Yes.
it's just like, are they going to clap? Are they going to say something? Are they gonna come to you say well done for the show?
Yes.
And I think we started with the right foot in the company. And I'm always going to be grateful for that. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a special time.
Yeah, it was amazing. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
For me, being at I always that's why I came back to South Africa, because when I left, I think I wasn't ready to leave South Africa, and I always be in contact with this coming time to South Africa, but I learned how to become a professional here in South
Oh,
Africa.
I see, yeah.
You know.
And I'll ask you, like, did you find that people were very friendly and inviting and made you feel at home, or tried their best to make you feel at home?
For me, it was the best time of my life.
Is it? Okay.
Because I just came to, Cuba, we are very social.
Yes, yes.
We get along with everybody,
Everybody.
and we were super young. Like for us, everything was a play, like a
Yes.
game, and trying to be, like being young,
Yes.
And I think the first time we came to the company, everybody took us and be like,
Yeah.
hey, for me, people have different story.
Okay.
That's
yes.
for them.
For them, yes.
But for
you
me,
had a good experience. Yeah.
good experience. That's why I'm here.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think in Hong Kong they've got a very different. They're not very well. Like I was never invited with any of the dancers in the company to really do anything. There were 2 other South Africans that auditioned. When the auditions for Hong Kong Ballet happened in London, they had done the audition there. So at least I had 1 or 2, but they, still, they were younger than me, and they sort of stayed together, and yeah, so it was hard. Hard. I didn't really make any friends. It was a hard time.
It's a hard time now.
Yes.
Shame.
And it's not like now. Now you could phone somebody up on WhatsApp.
Yeah,
and
you
can
didn't
see
have
if-
internet
You didn't
there.
have that. You had internet. I didn't even have a computer. I had to go on my way back from work, go past, have a coffee so I could send 3 lines to my mom. Do you know? So it was very different then. I think now these days it's easier to go to a different country, start, and still be able to stay in contact with your family like that. But I learned a lot. I did manage to. The company did an international tour in Europe, so I saw a lot. But I was happy when they started something up in South Africa again, and I could come home.
And in what year they started the company again?
That was in. I'm bad with years. I want to say 2001,
Oh,
2002.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure.
No, it's
Sorry,
okay.
I'm
It's
bad with
around there.
dates. Yes, yeah.
Yo, that's amazing.
Yeah, so then I could come back, and I was a principal then with the company when they started again.
And that would be my next question. How do you prepare yourself physically and mentally for a major perform, and especially the role of Giselle? I think that was your first.
It was my first.
So how do you
principal
prepare mentally and physically?
role. It was, well, just by the time you get to stage, I always felt very prepared. Like I didn't have a doubt in my mind about what was expected, what I had to do, how I had to feel. I'm very big on being super prepared for everything. That's like my motto. I just needed to be prepared. And then once I got onto stage, do nothing different. Like the way you did it in the studio, do it that way on stage. Don't do more, don't do less. And I think it's hard because you feel like you must do more, but just do it the same as you did it in the studio. I was also very lucky at that point. I had amazing coaches. I felt very prepared for my first role. But you've got like a feeling in your mind what it's going to be like, like this euphoric thing that you're going to experience on stage. But it's still hard work. It's hard. It's such hard work. And I think everybody thinks the applause at the end is what we do it for, but it's not. It's like, I would say, especially now that I've been done and I haven't danced in 8 years, there's nothing that puts you in the zone like ballet. Nothing. where you don't think about anything else. You're completely in the moment. You're completely concentrated on what you're doing now. Your mind doesn't flit around. It's like that in the zone thing. I've never experienced anything like it again. So I think that's what makes it amazing. And yeah, Giselle, it's a hard one, but it's such a beautiful ballet. Like the difference between Act 1 and Act 2, and how you go from being completely in love, that first time feeling, all of that. Everything's in that ballet. First love, disappointment, fighting for somebody you love, again disappointment, and then at the end you offer everything up for that person that you love. So it's a beautiful ballet. What else? And when I'd done that role, I'd worked with Kathy a lot, and one of the things that I learned from her is that you have to speak in your mind while you're dancing. Like when you're saying the mime, you have to speak the mime in your mind. And when you're doing a pas de deux with your partner, have things in your mind that you think of, like if you're having a conversation that's with somebody that you love, and telling them how much you love them and everything you would give up for them, that type of thing. So I think that helped a lot as well, especially to tell the story for the audience.
How important do you think would be that conversation that you have in your mind and show it on your dancing? Because I feel like sometimes the new ones, they just want to dance and they don't know the ballet and they don't know the history.
Yeah.
So how important is that for the new? Please tell them.
Yeah, it's very important, because there's a difference between, and the older you get, you learn that. For an audience member, you think, oh, they're watching how many turns I'm doing, they're watching how high my legs are, they're watching how high I'm jumping. Yes, they're watching that as well. But they've come to have an experience at the theatre. They've come to get away from their everyday life, their problems, kids going to school, all of, paying bills. They want to be taken to a different world, and you are there to tell the story. So you have to have that story in your mind, and with your body tell the story. So I wish I'd learned that earlier, but these things you only learn with experience. Because it is the most important thing, is to tell the story and to take people that come to the theatre to a different place where and one of the things Dawn Weller had said to me, sometimes the best thing to be like, if you're doing Romeo and Juliet and it's all these hectic, emotions, and you're about to take poison and all of that, the best thing to be is to be very still. Let the audience feel. Don't put your feelings on them. They've got feelings as well. They know what it's like to have a love disaster, and to love somebody so much. So be very still, let them feel, and then carry on. And that's hard, to be still on stage. You feel like you need to do stuff all the time to draw people in and perform in that. But sometimes the best thing to be is, obviously if the choreography calls for it and there's a moment, to be still.
I think I learned that once I left the company.
Okay.
Yeah, because when I went to Spain after I left the company, I was still on my brain of jumping, doing a lot of turn, and Europe is very calm.
Yes.
And being around many companies in Europe, and they just say, I don't want you to do like 10 periods. For me, 4, 3, clean, that's enough.
Yes.
I was like, but people are wanting, no, they don't want that. They want to see a good dance.
Yes. Yeah. Clean dances.
After that, I was like, okay, so everything I started to change the way I was dancing. Even like when I came back to, I think, last year we did the competition in Cape Town.
Yes.
And I did the gala with Angela, Diana, and At, the usual. And one of the person that works at the competition, she told me, wow, that was different thing to watch, because I saw your Diana action you have been doing like many times.
Yes.
Was too wild, like very aggressive. Now it was like super calm, like no more than 5 period or 3 period. You just went like chill. You were
Yes.
enjoying the
Yes,
performance and
yes.
doing all the step.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think young dancers think that it is only about how many turns you can do, how high you can jump, how, especially for girls, how high you can get your legs, and then they lose the artistry. And that's the thing that I'm scared for. If I watch, because it's different now. Like I said, now you can go onto YouTube and you can see everybody, and you see such amazing things. There's like pros and cons to it. You see amazing things that can push you to be better. But at some point, I'm scared the artistry will get lost,
It's lost.
with ballet. And and that's why we are not at the Olympics, because it's in an art form.
Say it again, please.
It's not a sport, it's art. And I think that will sometimes, even sometimes you have dancers that aren't like the best turners or don't have the highest legs, but they make people feel something. And that's very important.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
sometimes if I get students and they get very frustrated because they can't turn, like my friend next to me can do 5 turns and I can only do 2 turns. Like, it's not the end of the world if you can't do 5. Yes, it's
Oh,
amazing
please.
if you can do 5. But if you can't, if, like you said, if you can do 2 or 3 really beautiful, clean turns, technically correct, and you can make the audience feel something through emotion, the chances are you're going to end up being the principal, and whoever's doing 5 turns isn't.
One. I always say to my kids, just work with what you have. From there, you can increase everything else. But don't try to do like 10 periods when you don't know how to do 10 periods.
Yes, yes.
Don't try to put your leg higher than 90 when you don't know how to collocate your hip.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
You know?
And that's the thing is, like I said, pros and cons with YouTube and Instagram and that is kids, they want to get there so quickly and they forget there's all these little steps in between to get there.
But don't you think that because of that, ballet is quite demanding, and all the company needs right now, they're looking for beautiful dancers have like amazing legs and amazing tongue, amazing feet. Do you think that that is one of the reasons that some of the kids they just trying to copy what the company wants and they don't think about working themselves like the proper technique that they have? Because for me it's just more like, okay, this company wants girls with high legs, right? But I don't have that, but I'm gonna work and be like trying to get there when I can't.
Yes.
How?
Yeah, you have to know your, what's the word now? Can't think of it now. What you're capable of. Like, I definitely never had the highest legs. That was not my thing. I had a nice arabesque, but I didn't have the highest legs in second and that. I do think, I'd like to believe that companies, yes, they want dancers, and it's true. Like, certain companies want certain things, a certain look, but I still like to believe that if they see something special in somebody, that they would take them. I'm trying to be positive like that. But yeah, that's why I think, especially in South Africa, because we don't have as many companies, the opportunity is there for the dancer that isn't most probably the one that's got the best feet or the highest legs. There will be an opportunity at the companies in South Africa to get better, to get in, and then take all the small steps to get better and better and be an artist at the end of the day. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. I feel like for me it's like sometimes they just want to they look the company and they say no, I can't. I want to get better in another company, so they leave the
Yes.
company, the country. I'm like, but you have the opportunity to gain experience here. Then if you want to leave, you leave. But why do we losing all the talented dancers in South Africa?
I definitely think at the moment the problem is the repertoire. The company doesn't have a big repertoire because we had lost all of the rep that Pact had, all the amazing Balanchines, all of those we lost. And I think dancers want to experience what it's like, but the grass overseas, the grass isn't always greener on that side. The companies are big, like even for myself. I'd gone to National Ballet of Canada. It was very different there for me. Here, I was on stage every single night. There would be a run of a ballet, and I maybe would get onto stage once or twice.
Sure.
Because there they've got so many principal dancers, so many soloists, and everybody sort of has to have a turn. Okay, I was last in line when I joined the company. But here in South Africa especially, you have such amazing opportunities to be on stage every single night. And for me at that point in my life, I turned 30 when I was there, and I just decided it's amazing to be in the National Ballet of Canada. Yes, they've got all the rep in the world. They have so much money. I don't have to save my point shoes. I have 60 pairs of point shoes in my little box. I can sew a pair of point shoes every day if I want to. But I want to be on stage. It wasn't worth it for me to be there. I came back, and here I could be on stage as a principal. I did soloist. I even did quarter ballet. Because the company is very small, but there's so many opportunities, I feel, here. And luckily at the moment, in Pack Days, it was very known that if you leave the company, don't try and come back.
Really?
It's like you've burnt your bridge. You've shown where your loyalty lies. But it's not like that anymore. Like come to the company, be in the quarter ballet, soloists and that, and they're very much like, if you want to go and experience, but come back.
Come back.
Bring what you've learned and come back. And be an asset to the company here.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really amazing. Just to move on, I want to, when we came to South Africa, the Cubans and the teacher, what are your thoughts about the Cuban methodology? Did it help you through your career when we were here? And because, I'm based in Cuban methodology,
yes.
and some of the students that I have, they are doing Cuban methodology as well. So I just want to hear your thought, and also for the parents as well, because they say Cuban methodology, what's that,
Yeah. I definitely feel like everybody came at the right time, because I'd gotten to a point where I felt a little bit like I wasn't growing anymore, like I'd sort of gotten to a point, and now what? And when the Cuban teachers came, I definitely feel like I improved. Classes were super hard every day. They were super hard every day, where sometimes I felt like you sort of get it in a bit of a rut, what the teachers are going to give. And suddenly these two teachers were coming and they were giving you the stuff you hate. Turns in a la seconde, turns in arabesque, the longest adages ever, jumping. Ooh, we jumped. So I think it's an amazing, I don't know much about the methodology, like I never studied it, so I don't, but I've seen what it can do for dancers. It definitely takes dancers to the next level. And I also learned, I'm quite a nervous person. I get a little bit scared. Like I play it safe. I play it very safe. I'm not going to be, and I did learn from them to take chances, to take more chances. And if something doesn't work, it's not the end of the world, especially in class. Try for more, try for higher, try for bigger. And then when you get onto stage, if you're doing 5, then you'll do 3 perfectly.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I definitely learned to take chances.
No, that's amazing. Well, I have a story when we went to China, and then I have to do the Anangation with you. I was like, no, I can't do that. Because, the Anangation is just like showing off a little bit.
Yes.
And I know because you like to be like safe and be like, okay, Monia. I was so scared. I said, well, what are you doing?
And I was scared because I was like, oh my God, he's going to pull out 12 turns and I'm going to come and maybe do like 16 foites, So.
That was amazing. And then that's why going back to if the company make you feel in a good space, I felt like amazing with you because you just say to me, Munyan, easy, let's work, because we have only one time, like
Yes,
few
yes.
hours, because
Yes.
I didn't dance with you before,
No.
and I don't
Somebody,
know.
I think somebody went off.
Yeah. Something happened that I should. I know because we stayed another 2 weeks.
Oh, yes, we did. That's
That's
right.
why. Yeah, because I was dancing with Diana. I remember I was
Yes.
dancing with Diana Ngation, and then I was like, but because they left, and then I stayed with you.
Yes.
And then I was like so scared dancing with you. I was like, but no, why you have to do that to me now? And yeah, I just wanted to share
Oh,
that
thank
moment
you.
with you. Like,
I must say, I try to always be very, because when you guys came, you were all so young. So it was a learning curve for us. I think for partnering especially, and you were thrown into the deep end a bit, definitely. So and yeah, I definitely believe that kindness gets you a lot further
yeah,
than
100%.
like than even now when I teach, I can be quite strict and I can sometimes scream, but I'm never
Past the
derogatory.
limit, yeah.
Yeah, and I never put people down. I like I'm not putting anything against the people that had taught me, but I did find that if somebody screams at you the whole time, your whole body shuts down. Like you don't think anymore. And I had quite a few experiences like that. So that's not the way I teach. So yeah, it was an amazing time. We all learned together.
No, and that's one of the questions that I wanted to ask you. Like, you have made a really big impact for mentoring young dancer, and I just want to know what advice would you give to the new generation that want to follow your step?
I'd say just be patient. Like work hard every single day. And just remember that this is your dream, this is your passion. So, and it's going to take time. It's not going to happen in a flash. It's very far in between that somebody's, like maybe 2 or 3 people in the whole world are made principal dancers when they're 17 or, these are exemptions. They're not the rule. And also trust that the people that are in charge of your career knows where they want to put you, and that they feel you're not quite ready to do this right now, but you will be. So maybe this time you're learning the role and you get to be in all the rehearsals and you get to watch other principals do it, and then the next time the ballet comes around you'll be more prepared. That was definitely the way things were done in PAC. Like the first time you got cast for a ballet, you were put in brackets and you got to go to rehearsals, learn the ballet, learn all about it, and then you only got to do the role. So I'd say be patient and just work hard. Ballet's not easy. It's never going to be easy. When you're a principal, it doesn't suddenly get easy. Sometimes it just gets harder.
Yeah.
So be patient, work hard, and hang on to your dream.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. I think we are almost getting to the end. I just have 2 questions more, but I think this one is for me is the most important. How do you feel when you became the 3rd Prima Ballerina in South Africa? The moment that you knew that you're gonna become Prima Ballerina, because that's such a big
It's such a big thing.
thing,
I can honestly say when I was made Prima, I felt a lot more pressure. It was
Really?
an amazing thing, but it's such a big title to there's so few that are made that, and even in South Africa especially, it was a lot of pressure for me, and sometimes I wish I wasn't made Prima because it got to a point on stage where I would get very nervous because
Really?
it felt like I had to, I had this big thing now. You must be the best. Everything must always be perfect because you're now Prima. And it was still just me.
Yeah.
Still working in the studio every day, still making mistakes. I truly believe the day you think you're perfect is the day you must stop dancing. Because that's the amazing thing about ballet. There's always a challenge. Always. No 2 days are the same. Today you can turn, tomorrow you can't. Now you must start from scratch again. Today you feel very on top of everything and your body feels good, tomorrow it doesn't. So, but it was a great, it was amazing to be made Prima, and I'm very grateful for it. But it was still hard.
I can't really, it's just like that name on top of you. It's just like,
yes.
and who was the first one, the second
So
one?
the first one was was Philispira, and then Dawnweller.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
Philispira in Cape Town, and then Dawnweller up here. Yeah.
Okay, that's amazing. And the moment that you decided to retire from dancing, how was that feeling?
You get to a point. I was very lucky throughout my career. I didn't have major injuries or anything, but in the last year I'd been in pain. Like my foot was really bad. Like I had two bones that were rubbing against each other. And they said we could operate, but I knew
If you did that,
that's
the end.
the end. There's obviously they're better, a lot better now, but at that point I just felt like now I'm 43, like to now go and cut on my foot to try and get another year in, it was just not worth it for me. And I was getting cortisone injections every 3 months, 4 months. So, and I knew it was time. Like I'd done everything, and you don't want to finish when people are like, "Ooh, she's not that great anymore, maybe she should stop." I felt like I'd reached everything I wanted to do. I'd done amazing ballets. I'd been in a company where I felt like it was my family, and it was time. So I have no regrets. It was hard, obviously. It was scary because as a dancer, your life is so planned. You know exactly what you're doing from 9 to 5 every day. Now suddenly I'm going into, it's all I'd known my whole life. Now at 43, now I'm going into the unknown. But so I have no regrets. It was the right time to stop.
Sure.
Yeah.
And the last one, what advice would you give to your younger self that in the beginning of your career?
In the beginning of my career. Again, be a bit more patient. It's going to come.
Yeah.
And don't be so scared.
We say that's important.
Yeah, it was for me. I think I would have maybe achieved a little bit more or done more if I just wasn't so scared to fail. It's okay to fail. You learn when you fail. So don't be so scared. And if you fail, you pick yourself up and you go on the next day.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Bern, for
It's
coming.
a pleasure.
Thank you. I really enjoyed the podcast with
Thank
you.
you for having me. It's nice to reminisce a bit, to think back, because at the moment I don't really think about. No, it's like a different life now. It was a life I had, and my life is very different now. Sometimes when I'm like cleaning up vomit, and then I'm like, I used to wear a tiara, and now
that's the purpose of this, like just to keep all that journey alive. You know?
Yes.
And for me, it's amazing that I could share stage with you.
Oh, thank you, Monia. And the same for me.
Thank you.
It was an amazing experience.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming back.
It's a pleasure. It's a big pleasure.
Thank you guys for watching another episode of Freedom Podcast. Remember just to subscribe, like, and following all our social media. Please see you in the next one.